What subject did you find to be the trickiest to study for? And let's talk, aside from society and culture, if it was that.
I probably would say it would have to be English Advanced. English Advanced was very, very challenging for me. It was a bit of a journey for me. I had to work ridiculously hard to try and get really good at it because I think there's such a jump between year 10 and then you get to year 11 English Advanced, and then it just gets even harder in year 12. And I really had to sit down and really try and figure out, okay, what do I need to do in order to just get a band six and hope for the best. So I had to spend a lot of time again going that extra mile, doing research to try and make base essays, which I think is something that you've spoken extensively about on multiple of your platforms. But I had to write, those base essays, be really across all of my texts and the different, conceptual ideas and the different themes. But then also forcing myself to do the practice of looking at different questions, coming up with those thesis statements, and then just actually getting really good at making sure my essays were really exactly what the markers wanted. So English Advanced would be the hardest one to study for.
It's tricky. I think no matter how confident you are with writing or with English, I think that subject is very demanding, and it just requires a lot of time and preparation, but also the strategy there. As you alluded to with our videos, we try and focus on that in terms of making sure you're focusing on the right things so that you're not overwhelmed by the amount of content, and just keep it focused on the exam structure and the format there, and what's kind of the minimum effective dose for each thing, and then focus on the skills of adapting to different questions, etc. Is there any other advice you would give to students who are preparing for or currently going through year 12?
I probably would say consistency is really important. I think that's something that I did a lot of in year 12. And I think it was probably something that I would attribute most of my, success to, was just the fact that I was very consistent with how often I was working. I was constantly just chipping away at all of my subjects. I think I am still a firm believer to this day that doing, weeks and weeks of small, consistent effort on all of your subjects all throughout the year, whether that is note making, doing practice questions, etc., is going to hold you in better stead than doing like 12 hours of study 3 days before the exam. Because I think you have to get really good at familiarizing yourself with the content and then being able to really feel confident enough to answer those questions. So I think all throughout, what I think was just the biggest piece of advice I would give was just consistency. I think all throughout the year, I was constantly doing practice questions, bringing them to my teachers, getting feedback, doing more, getting more feedback, fixing things, redoing them, really trying to focus on doing my own learning. So even when we didn't have exams on, I'd still be doing practice questions. I'd still be studying because I was so focused on trying to make sure that by the time I got to trials and HSC, I didn't have to stress, because I was like, I know what I need to do. I know kind of the things that I would have to fix up on. So I think consistency is really important.